What's going on, guys? Today we are doing a new series called Try Before You Buy, where we show off different commander decks of different power levels, different budgets, and different playstyles to get you more experienced in the format and have more options to build or even get new lists to buy yourself. So today's episode we are doing Atla Palani Nest Tender. So this is a Naya deck, and generally the strategy is based around sacrificing eggs to cheat out big creatures. I'll read her ability. So she's a 4 mana 2/3. She's a human shaman. You can pay 2 mana, tap her to create a 0/1 green egg creature token with Defender. The main bit is whenever an egg you control dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So what she basically does is whenever an egg dies, it polymorphs from the deck. So find your next creature. So this means the deck is full of ways to sacrifice our eggs, untap Atla, and big creatures to cheat out. So the first part of any deck should be the ramp. So we'll start off with our mana dorks. We have the obvious Birds of Paradise, Fiendhorn Elves, Boreal Druid, Llanowar Elves, Arbor Elf, Elvish Mystic, Aveston's Pilgrim, Priest of Titania, and the new Feyburrow Elder. Of course, you can run stuff like Bloom Tender, but I don't think it's necessary, and Feyburrow Elder gives us a good body, and already includes 2 of the colours. So from then on we have a little bit more ramp in different forms. So this is our Artifact ramp, Enchantment ramp, and more creature ramp, just using different aspects. So we have Mana Crypt and Soul Ring, the 2 main ones. We don't have stuff like Chrome Mox or Mox Diamond. I do have them, so I could include them. It's just I don't think we need them with the amount of card disadvantage it gives. If we're a really super fast combo deck, then maybe we would. For enchantment-based ramp, we have Wild Growth and Utopia Sprawl. These enchant our forests and lands to give us more mana of different colours. And last but not least, we have Dockside Extortionist. This is new from C19. So he's 2 mana for a 1/2 Goblin Pirate. When he enters, you get X treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. When he enters, he will make a lot of mana, generally speaking, and if we use ways to abuse him more by bouncing him, we can make lots and lots of mana, which should hopefully let us win the game. So we're in the Naya colours, meaning we don't have access to much counter magic other than stuff like Red Elemental Blast. This means we have to run some hate to slow our opponents down and keep us ahead. So we have stuff like Silence. This is basically a counterspell in white. We can just shut down someone's combo or turn and try and help us win, or even cast on our own turn to stop them from stopping us to combo off. We also have Hate Pieces. We have Deafening Silence. It's a very similar thing. It's basically Rule of Law for non-creature spells. We have very creature-focused decks, so this should not hurt us much. Then we have Aven Mind Sensor. So this just stops tutoring for when our opponents are looking for combo pieces, and even hurts fetch lands. In the same vein, we have Magus of the Moon. It's just Blood Moon on a stick. It's a creature. We can cast it. It shuts off our opponent's lands. And last, we have Tangle Wire. So at the beginning of each upkeep, you tap the number of artifacts, creatures, and lands equal to the number of counters on it. So they'll tap 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. With our tapping abilities and our eggs, this should allow us to break the parity and keep ahead of our opponents. So next, we kind of need some big bombs, some things to cheat out when we sacrifice our eggs. A lot of them have ETBs, but some are just big creatures that we can hit our opponents with. So we have Ulamog the Infinite Gaia. It's just a giant indestructible creature with Annihilator 4. We can eventually get enough mana to cast him, letting us destroy permanents. He stops mill, and he's also a combo piece in our deck. I'll talk about that further. We also have Terastodon. It's a green creature, which is relevant for some of our tutors. When it enters, you get to destroy 3 non-creature permanents, so we can destroy lands, artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers, you name it. It's also a 9/9, very big to hit our opponents with. Elish Norn, it's a fan favourite. It's just big creature, wipes our opponent's boards, and buffs ours. Very, very strong. We have Zakama. Again, it's a green creature, which is relevant for some of our tutors. it does the lot, really. You can destroy creatures, destroy artifact enchantments, gain life. You can cast it, untap all your land. It's also a very, very big creature. And last but definitely not least, we have Begordon Hellkite. So it's an 8 mana 5/5 with flash and flying. This can be relevant as a surprise blocker, take out a 10/10 or something. When it enters, deal 5 damage, divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and players. This is another combo piece, as when we have infinite ETBs of our creatures, this will kill all our opponents, and it also acts like creature-based removal. So what are all these big threats if we don't have some recursion engines? Ways to get them back. So being this, we have Eternal Witness and Karmic Guide. Karmic Guide is very good as our very strong creatures with very high mana costs we can get back just for 5 mana. This is also good with some of our other combo pieces, like we have Birthing Pod, we have Kiki Jiki, and those sorts of things. So these creatures are very handy with continuing our combo to win the game. Speaking of combos, we need some ways to accelerate into them. We need to get them off as fast as possible. Rhythm of the Wild is very good. It gives all our creatures haste, which helps for our mana dorks, but also gives them +1/+1 counters when you need. With our combo, we will need Atla to be buffed, to be more than a 2/3. If we give her a +1/+1 counter on entry, it will accelerate our combo very much. In the same vein, we have Samut, Voice of Dissent. She's a big creature, hits for a lot of damage, can untap Atla, and gives all of our stuff haste. Very strong cards. And it's combo time. So we have everyone's favourite, Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker. So it has haste, and it can tap to create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature. That token has haste, and we have to sacrifice it at the beginning of the end step. We can actually use this on our Atla egg tokens to make more eggs, which will sacrifice themselves and trigger Atla. And another common piece, we have Mirror Entity. It's a 3 mana 1/1 shapeshifter with Changeling, meaning it does actually count as an egg. And it also counts as a vampire for the purposes of some other cards in our deck. So we can pay X mana to turn all of our creatures into XX creatures, and they gain all creature types, including eggs. I'll talk more about this combo later. So then, we actually need some ways to untap out. We need to bounce our permanents, those sorts of effects. Also to combo with Kiki Jiki. First of all, we have Quirion Ranger. So we can return a forest to our hand to untap a creature. This is also useful with our mana dorks and our Yi-Sun combos that I'll talk about later. Wildwood Symbiote, very similar vein, we can return elves to untap creatures. Scrib Ranger again, return forest to untap creatures. Very strong cards. Then we have Village Bellringer. It's 3 mana 1/4 flash. When it enters, untap all creatures you control. This does go infinite with Kiki Jiki, as when this enters, we get to create a token copy of the Village Bellringer, which untaps Kiki Jiki, and so on and so forth till we have infinite 1/4s. We can swing for lethal. In a very similar combo, we have Felidar Guardian, recently banned in Pioneer for a similar combo with Sihili. So yet again, make a top copy of Felidar, it re-enters, bounces this, untaps, create an extra token, and we have infinite cats. This is the copycat combo. And one more combo with Kikijiki is Zealous Conscripts. It's just a good creature to hit anyway of eggs to steal our opponent's creatures, so we can sacrifice them. But again, it goes infinite with Kikijiki. When this enters, you get to untap a creature, and then this makes a token copy, untaps this creature, so forth. So we have infinite 3/3s. This is a very common combo, and you'll see it in a lot of Commander decks. So what good are all these combos and such if we don't have efficient card draw? So, our best probably card draw engine in the game, in this deck, is Skull Clamp. So it gives equipped creature +1/-1, and when it dies, we draw 2 cards. It is equipped 1, meaning with our egg tokens, we can pay 1 mana to equip the egg with our Skull Clamp to make it it'll be a 1/0. It will die, draw 2 cards, and trigger Atla. So this will draw us lots of cards, cheating lots of creatures, and at a very low cost. In a similar vein of drawing cards, we have Rishgar's Expertise. With all the very high power creatures in the deck, this should easily draw us about 4 cards or more, and let us cast a spell for free. Runehorn Hellkite, this is a bit more of a flex spot, but it's a big dragon. I like dragons. You can cheat it in, and when you sacrifice it, you can even spend 6 mana to wheel it from your graveyard, just to draw more cards. In Naya, we don't have too much card draw, so it's good to get on top of things. So speaking of sack outlets, we need to sacrifice our eggs very efficiently and get extra value off them. So one card we have is an Evolutionary Leap. Discounts survival of the fittest, essentially. So you pay a green, sack a creature to reveal the top till you find a creature. Unfortunately, you put this one in your hand, not on the battlefield like Atla. So you can pay 1 green, sacrifice an egg, and you get to find a creature for your hand and find a creature for the battlefield. Make sure you declare which one is activating first, which will be Atla since the trigger does before the ability resolves. We also have Ashnod's Altar. This lets us sack an egg, make 2 mana, make another egg, etc. And Phyrexian Altar, very similar vein, sack creatures for mana, it's pretty good. And a more controversial sack outlet, I guess, we have Smokestacks. This is actually the origin of the word Stax for the deck archetype. So during our upkeep, we put a counter on it if we want, and each player's upkeep, we sack a permanent for each counter on it. So this is good. We only need to keep it at like 1 or 2 max. So we create an egg at our upkeep. We can leave it at 1 counter, and we can sacrifice the egg, and every turn our opponents will be slowed down as well. So this is a very good sack outlet that also slows down our opponents. So I've mentioned so many of these combos, but how do we actually draw them? We do this by our very abundant amount of creature-based tutors. So just starting off, we have Green Sun Zenith. Pay green and X, find a green creature with mana cost X or less, put it on the battlefield. We have Worldly Tutor, search for a creature, put it on the top of our library. We have Eladamri's Call, search our library for a creature, put it into our hand. One is also an instant. We have Fauna Shaman. You can basically survival of the fittest on a creature, pay a green, discard a creature, search for a creature, put it into your hand. Quite good. In Atla we have some of the sacrifice shooters, where we sacrifice a creature in order to find a certain card. This one is basically Eladamri's Call, except we actually sacrifice a creature to get it to our hand. The same is said for Eldritch Evolution, where we sack a creature and we find a creature for 2 more than its mana cost. So if we sack an egg, we'll find a 2-drop. Normally I'll be grabbing something like Dockside Extortionist or Priest of Titania. Then more on tutors, we have Congregation at Dawn. It's an instant, luckily. So we can pay 3 mana to search for 3 creatures, put them on the top of our library in any order. So if we do this at our upkeep, we can draw a card and then map the next 2 for Atla to flip off the top. So you could put something like a Dockside Extortionist into an Ulamog into a Zakama, for example. Then we also have more creature tutors. We have Yisan the Wanderer Bard. I did mention a few untap effects and combos. So we can use Yisan to find a 1-drop, then a 2-drop, then a 3-drop, etc. So this will help us get into our combos as it can grab Mirror Entity, as well as Kiki Jiki, Karmic Guard, Felidar Guardian, etc. We also have Court of Calling. It's pretty standard, just 3 mana X, instant speed, Convoke, find a creature with mana cost X or less, put on the battlefield. Then we have a more controversial tutor. It's actually quite spicy tech, and I have been having success with it. It is Forerunner of the Legion. So 3 mana 2/2 Vampire Knight. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a vampire card. Reveal it, and put it on top of your library after shuffling, obviously. So our only vampire in the deck is actually Mirror Entity. So when this enters, you go find Mirror Entity and put it on top of your library. If you have an egg, you can sack it and treat this into play. The second line of text is actually relevant. It's why we don't play something like the Elemental Forerunner, Harving or whatever it is. So whenever another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So with him out, and Atla, as soon as Mirror Entity enters the battlefield, you can buff Atla. This is relevant for our combo, which I will explain more later. More tutors we have are another sacrifice-based one. We have Natural Order. Sacrifice a green creature, which to exile luckily. Search your library for a green creature and put it into play. This will be our Zakama, our Terastodon, etc. And Awesome is also a good option. Birthing Pod. You're all pretty familiar with the Birthing Pod combo, but I will show it later. We get to sacrifice creatures, which is very much in theme with the deck, and find the next one up. This also allows us to do combos similar to our Kiki Jiki lines. Profane Command is a recently new addition. It allows us to gain life, bounce permanents, stop mill by shuffling graveyards, but it also lets us find a creature card and put it into our hand. There's a main inclusion. So that is our most of our 99 aside from lands, but it's just basics, dual lands, fetches. I'll basically build to your heart's content. But do remember that we are running some Blood Moon effects, so you need to be cautious with the amount of basics you run. There are some cut lands that I'm running that are not really run normally, but I choose to run them in order to do our combo. So these are, we have Opal Palace. It lets us basically filter a mana, and we get to put a counter on our commander if we cast it. So if we pay 4 mana, tap this, she will enter with a +1/+1 counter for each time she's cast from the command zone. So 1, then 2, then 3, etc. This is important to keep her alive. Same for Akina, Temple to the Grandfathers. We can pay a green, tap it to give target legendary creature +1/+1 until end of turn, which is what Atla will be. We also have Skarg the Rage Pit. You can pay red and green, tap it to give target creature +1/+1 and trample, just more buff effects. And Haship Oasis, you can pay 3, sack a desert, which is probably a bit self, to give target creature +3/+3 until end of turn. So now we also need to talk about our removal package. Our ways to destroy problematic permanents and creatures. So we have our creature-based removal. We have Knight of Autumn. It's basically Reclamation Sage with some more upside. You can make it a 4/3, you can get some life, you can destroy artifact enchantment. It's very handy. You can run Rec Sage if you want the more elf-based theme. We also have a new card called Gitu Slinger. It's not played very much. 3 mana 2/2 with Echo 3. When it enters, you deal 2 damage to target creature or player. So this is a few uses. If, for say, you hit it off Atla, it can actually shoot down your eggs. Or it can deal with Timners, Nagilas, Collector Oofs, etc. And it is also part of our win con by killing everyone when it enters an infinite amount of times. For single target creature removal, we have a Braid, also its artifacts, 3 target creature. Should be a staple in every single red deck. Some more niche cards, we have Ancient Animus. We put a counter on a legendary creature and then it fights another creature. So this is another way to buff our Atla to make her bigger, and it's a removal spell at the same time. We also have Savage Swipe. It's quite efficient. We give a creature with power 2 +2/+2. Atla has 2 power as shown, so give her +2/+2, she fights something, and she stays big until end of turn. This is relevant for our combo, as I've said. We also have Swords Plowshares, running in every white deck, come on, and Lightning Bolt. I also believe Lightning Bolt should be run in every red deck, but it's more of a controversial opinion. Not everyone agrees, but I think it's just too efficient to not run. As for board wipes, we have a few. We have Earthquake. It's just good. You can pay however much money you want to deal with however much damage. You will often be paying a red and a 1 to deal with all our mana dogs and eggs and stuff. But it's also very good to slow down the more combo decks like Zavala, Isan, etc. We also have just good old Day of Judgment, destroy all creatures. What more can you ask for? And Wind of Abandon, one-sided path to exile all of your opponent's creatures. It's very good as it does not blow up our own board. Speaking of removal, we actually need ways to protect Atla. So we have Vines of Vastwood. We can give her a Shroud from opponent's stuff, as well as giving a +4/+4 if we pay the kicker. This also keeps her alive for our combo. So I know I've mentioned a lot about how we need to keep her alive. This is because we will be setting her base toughness to 0. To explain more, I will demonstrate the combo. To demonstrate the combo, we will assume that there are only 3 cards in our library, but obviously there will be a lot more. Right now in our library is a random creature, Begordon Hellkite, and Ulamog the Infinite Gaia. It doesn't actually matter what the 3rd card is. I just thought I'd show how it can fail. Also how it stacks up. And our Begordon Hellkite can be Gitu Slinger or Dockside Extortionist, any way that we can abuse our infinite ETBs. Ulamog, we need either Ulamog or Kozilek for when it enters the graveyard to shuffle into our library. So I'll just give these a shuffle just to demonstrate. This is our library. Atla will be in the command zone. Assume we have a bunch of mana, doesn't really matter. We'll play Rhythm of the Wild. just any way to give our Atla a buff effect. So we'll cast Atla, and we give her a +1/+1 counter, like so. Then, as part of our combo, we cast Mirror Entity, or have it enter the battlefield in some way. So it is an egg right now. This is relevant. And Atla has a +1/+1 counter. So what we are going to do is consider this. Pretend we activate x = 0 once. This means Mirror Entity will die as an egg. Atla becomes a 1/1 because of a +1/+1 counter. And we flip a creature from the top. It will be an Ulamog. We can give it haste and swing, except what if the top is an Ulamog, you know? We have an entire deck, it'll probably be like 70 cards or so. So this combo does not actually work at the moment. So I'll just shuffle, and we'll go back to the beginning. So pretend Mirror Entity comes into play. What if we activate x = 0 3 times, holding priority? So it'll die. The ability goes on the stack. We flip the first one. So only one x = 0 has resolved. Now we'll let the second one resolve. This dies as an egg, and we flip the next card. It's a Golden Hell card. We do 5 damage to our opponent. And then we'll do it for the third time. This dies as an egg, and then the next creature enters the battlefield. It's an Ulamog. It doesn't really matter. This just shows that for each x = 0, that's a creature we will flip. So now, what if, inside the library, we will activate Mirror Entity x equals the biggest number you can think of. 100 billion, trillion, whatever, times. But for the purpose of the video, we'll just say, what, x = 10? So this means we have 10 Mirror Entity triggers on the stack. We resolve 1. Flip. Hit Ulamog. He turns into a 0/0 and dies. This will trigger him to shuffle our graveyard into our library. We still have 8 triggers to resolve. Well, 7 now, sorry, because he died. So flip it, we hit a creature, we have 6 to resolve, he dies, flip the next one, it's Ulamog again. So seeing how we aren't actually getting any damage through yet. So we resolve it the 5th time to shuffle it. We order it so that it shuffles in before. Shuffle that. And then we flip the next card, it's an Ulamog again. So we do it once more, he dies, shuffles back in. This time we flip it, and we hit Fauna Shaman. Do it again, we hit Golden Hellkite, do 5 damage. Do it again. Mirror Entity, kill itself. Ulamog. Dies, shuffle in. So see, we're at a point where we are exactly at the beginning, except our opponent has taken 5 damage. So the problem with this is, as you've seen, we did hit Kozilek quite a few times before anything else restarting the loop. So this is a non-deterministic loop. After an infinite amount of time, there is a non-infinitely small chance that it will fizzle. Because what if we hit Ulamog every single time? Then we're not doing any damage, but because we set a certain amount of triggers, it will not actually kill anyone. So, we will need just, if I take out this creature, we have a 1 in 3 chance of hitting Ulamog off the top, right? Well, it'll be half the first time. So it'll be half depending on what we hit. If we hit the Gordon first, we just do the next one, shuffle it back in, and that was a third each time. If we hit Ulamog, we do it again. Third, do it again, etc. So, but there is a chance, you know, we can hit 1/3 every time for 1 billion different flips. So that's the main problem with this deck. But we do have a solution on how to make this combo deterministic, to actually make it shortcuttable. Because right now, you will have to play it out every single time. So what if our Mirror Entity had a +1/+1 counter from our Rhythm of the Wild? So give it a +1/+1 counter. And then we had another random creature into play, being Fauna Shaman. So what happens now, if only these 2 are in our library, it doesn't actually how many cards are in our library, as long as one's a damage on dealt and a Eldrazi Titan. So now we activate x = 0. We don't have to do it multiple times, we'll just sacrifice this to it, and we flip the top, we hit Ulamog. We'll activate X equals 0 again. This dies, we have it shuffle in, and we flip. Golden Hell card deal 5 damage. Now we sacrifice this to X equals 0, and flip the next one. And we do that again, and we hit till we hit Ulamog. And doing this is deterministic because we just X equals 0, X equals 0. There is no chance where we won't hit it. So this is shortcuttable, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point most people should concede. I doubt you'll ever have to play it out, but it is a way to do it safely. There is another way we can do it safely, where it's guaranteed. I will just shuffle in a few creatures. We'll put in Samet, we'll put in Eternal Witness, for example, we'll put Elish Norn, and Karmic Guide. So, with all our ETBs, it's pretty much guaranteed to help us build our board with Karmic Guide. So let's just play it out. We'll pretend X equals, what, 1,000,000, for example. So I'll just put this here. So this dies, then what do we flip? Flip, we're gonna have 5 damage. This dies again, flip. Elish Norn, doesn't matter, dies. Eternal Witness, this is May, so we won't. Ulamog, reset the shuffle. What do we flip? We flip Mirror Entity. This actually gives us the chance to activate X another set of times. But if we want it to be shortcuttable, then we just not do this, because what if we never hit it? Elish Norn, creature. Just keep flipping till we hit our Karmic Guide. 5 damage. Karmic Guide. So when this enters, we can actually bring back someone like a Golden Hell guy, or any creature in our graveyard. Now, when the ability resolves, we hit 2, meaning we have 2 triggers. So 1, 2. So now activate, it resolves again. We shuffle them in. Shuffle them in again. It doesn't really matter. And now we resolve 2 triggers before our X equals 0 resolves. If we hit them, they both die. We get the next 2. Karmic Guide, we return this. So while doing this, eventually we will have a point where for every creature in our graveyard, there is a creature on the battlefield for. So I explained that part. So for every creature in our library, there will be an Atla egg trigger on the stack. So this is our battlefield. We activate, well, the X equals 0 resolves. This kills them all. We stack it so our Ulamog trigger resolves first, shuffling them in, and then we get them all back again, dealing extra 5 damage. From this point, it is infinite, assuming we have no creatures left in our library. So this is what cards like Karmic Guide help us do. Other ways of doing this is if we had these 2 creatures enter the battlefield at the same time. We can make an infinite amount of Village Bell Ringers to do the same thing, have every single creature from our library onto the battlefield. And in a similar vein, if we have stuff like Dockside Extortionist, who makes the treasures, we will have an absurd amount of mana to use, and with untap effects like Village Bell Ringer, we can actually make more eggs with Atla. Basically, if someone does it to you, you're dead. Don't really try to live it, because it'll just waste everyone's time. So we do have a few more combos. I know it's a little bit time consuming, but it is important to know them, just so you know at one point you can win. So I'll just do them. So this is the Birthing Pod combo. Hopefully some of you are familiar with it, where we use Birthing Pod to just go infinite. So for this combo, we will just need to sacrifice a 3-drop creature. Doesn't matter what it is, I just used Mirror Ending because it's the closest one. So we will need to, I believe we need about 3 mana open. We'll go over it. So we pay 1 mana, we sacrifice this 3-drop, search our library for a 4-drop. It'll be Felidar Guardian. When this enters, we flicker this. We pay our 2nd mana, to sacrifice this, to search our library for a 5-drop. We will grab Karmic Guide. When this enters, we will reanimate our Felidar Guardian and blink this. We use our 3rd mana to sacrifice our Felidar Guardian to find Kiki-Jiki from our library. When Kiki-Jiki enters, we can make a copy of Karmic Guide. This Karmic Guide copy will enter the battlefield and reanimate our Felidar Guardian. When this enters, blink our Kiki-Jiki. And now we have our infinite combats, our infinite creatures to attack with. So all you need at this point is 3 mana, a Birthing Pod, and a 3-drop creature. Birthing Pod also synergizes without eggs, so it's a pretty good combo to include. Very compact. So all in all, I believe I've talked about most of the combos, if not all, our different tutors, our hate pieces, and the main strategy of the deck. This deck can probably win as early as turn 3 or 4, I'm not too sure. This isn't the most competitive version of the deck. You will find them on the Atla Discord server, which I will link in the description, as well as their competitive EDH primer. I will link my deck list in the description if you guys wanted to try and recreate it and make your own modifications. I have used some expensive cards if you want to make it more budget, or even I've used some less than expensive cards if you want to try and upgrade. All in all, she's a really fun commander. I definitely recommend building her. And hopefully I can see you guys again soon with another video like this. I'm thinking about doing one of my more competitive decks, so Gyarados Flashhawk or Yisan or something like Opus Thief. Just let me know in the comments below and I will see what I can do. Alright, have a good one.